ever since I was a kid. And I've always been one for medical problems, going into the doctor, seeing what's going on. When I started to get into my teens, I started to get infections, like bladder infections, or, some cuts and such. Didn't really think anything of it. As I got older, when I was about 18, my doctor at the time told me I was low on iron. I was constantly passing out. I wasn't able to eat. And I couldn't stay awake, or really for too long, like not even for 10 minutes before passing out. After a little bit, I got myself back up, got better, started eating more foods with iron and such. But after a little bit, about a couple of months, I started to feel a little weird again. And things got worse. I went from just physically feeling a little off to getting nauseous or getting bladder infections on a regular basis. No joke. Every 2 months. And then I started to get a lot of internal pains, and that really freaked me out. I was constantly dizzy. I wasn't able to eat. I was nauseous. So many other symptoms. I was constantly in and out of the hospital, thinking something was going to burst inside of me or something. Or something was failing. Or something else bigger was a problem. I went and saw my doctor about it too several times. And it's kind of hard to explain why you look okay, but you don't feel it. Then things progressed. I got to the point where I wasn't able to move. I was hardly even able to stand for too long before my legs caved. My memory was worse at that time. I wasn't able to remember much of anything. I'm surprised I can even remember it now. The fact that the doctors, of all the doctors I saw, couldn't come up with what was wrong with me. And still to this day bugs me. After I figured out what could be the cause through all my research and doctors' possibilities, I figured I was probably diabetic. I didn't want to admit it, but I started to change my diet, started eating whole wheat, and staying away from the high starches and chocolates and sugars and such. I started to feel better. A lot better. I had more energy, but my legs and arms were still taking a long time to fully come back, and I still was getting dizzy spells. I still got headaches. I still was really itchy and everything else like that. I did feel a lot better, not as my internal pain, so as soon as I started changing my eating and everything. And then I started to feel off again. I started to get those pains again. I started to feel a little sicker, not as bad as I used to or did before. I got a doctor because at that time I moved, and I wanted to see him as soon as I could. He and I talked about my concerns, what was going on, and everything. He did a few tests, but it was only with myself checking my sugar levels for the first time ever on my own, at the point in time when I actually felt my worst. And at this point, it was as if I was feeling like I was diabetic. I just ate. I started to feel really, really dizzy, like I was going to pass out. I was in the bathroom on a regular basis. I couldn't stop going. And I'm just like, okay, that's it. I gotta check. I checked my sugar levels, and they were in the 4.5 range, I believe. Can't remember. I don't have that glucometer anymore. I freaked. I didn't know what it meant, except for that little piece of paper in the actual kit that tells me what the average is, and it was below the average. I'm just like thinking, am I going to die? Again, that's where the sugar problems come in. Overreacting everything. I rushed myself to my doctor's office without even calling. I wasn't thinking straight. I walked right over there. Walked in, I'm just like, I need to see him now. Before I did, thankfully though, I grabbed a slice of bread. By the time I got there, my adrenaline was going so much, and thankfully I had that slice of bread, so that way I could keep going. My sugar levels were a 6.5 or thereabouts, and they said I was fine. My doctor came in, and I had to talk to him about what was going on, my symptoms, before I checked my sugar levels, what I ate, and everything. And I even showed my glucometer to him, my test. And he came to the conclusion that I was probably hypoglycemic. I'm thinking in the back of my head, what? I thought for sure I was diabetic because of my symptoms. After a little bit, I started to get better. We still weren't entirely sure of the diagnosis because there's no real test for hypoglycemia. I ended up in the merge one day and ended up bumping into him. And he talked to me about why I was in there. They did a urine test just to see if I was giving out any ketones, or if there was anything else in there. I'm assuming. I think it was mostly the ketones. And he came up to me and he's like, "You seem to be alright, but I want you to come back into the office tomorrow afternoon. Just let them know that I saw you today." I went in the next day, talked to him, and that was it. I had my diagnosis. For sure. I knew right then and there what I needed to do. From then on, he got me appointments with a therapist and a dietitian. Therapist to help calm me down, take control of my emotions a little bit more, and dietitian for obvious reasons, to educate me.